Israel should clear the ground. People who want to leave should be allowed to get out and go live somewhere that is not, in fact, a hellhole run by Hamas. And then the United States will basically take the thing that's good about the area, meaning the beachfront property, and turn it into something nice as a good investment.
Something nice.
He's basically going to syndicate a real estate deal in Gaza, is the thing that Trump is saying. Not that he's going to pour 20,000 American troops, God forbid, into the Gaza Strip in order to clear out Hamas. He's saying that's Israel's job. Let Israel do its job.
Oh, that's
and finish off Hamas.
Emma Vigeland of the Majority Report talks in this clip about Ben Shapiro and his scintillating opinions on Donald Trump's plan to, I guess, take over the Gaza Strip and turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East. I mean, I can't keep the incredulity out of my voice, but let's watch this clip together. I'm going to have 2 cents here and there that I'll toss into the fray. That's what I'm doing. And then I want to know what you think of the comments. Let's roll it.
Actually, let's just pull up his tweet from 2010 as a primer, a little appetizer. So in case you were confused about where Ben Shapiro stands on this issue, he is a unrepentant racist.
Well, I mean, half repentant. This tweet, Israelis like to build. Okay. Arabs.
They just destroyed the entire Gaza Strip.
Who gave them the money to build? Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. This is not a difficult issue. This and hashtag settlements rock. So they're that hashtag encouraging war crimes, which is what the settlements are. You can't take land that was conquered. This is one of the tweets that he put in his "I'm sorry for bad things I did in the past" document that he had on his website for a while, and then he put it behind a paywall, along with him saying, what's that guy's name from Iowa, Steve King, isn't a racist, and people are being woke by calling him one.
Well, maybe he self-reflected. I mean, if he did apologize at one point for saying hashtag settlements rock, and that Arabs like to bomb things and live in open sewage, maybe he's reevaluated.
President Trump's most audacious move has been his attempt to solve the situation in Gaza by allowing people who are in a rubble-strewn area a way out, so that the Gaza Strip can then be rebuilt as basically Monte Carlo on the Mediterranean. Yeah, everybody who is opposing this, everybody who's yelling about this, their solution is no solution. Their solution, of course, is to simply allow the rebuilding of Hamasistan in the Gaza Strip.
Right,
and the suffering of...
Okay, so your solution is ethnic cleansing, and you talk about, it's rubble. They're doing exactly what the Netanyahu, Likud playbook is, well, it's destroyed. They can't live there. Who destroyed it? So Ben Shapiro cheered on the destruction of the Gaza Strip for a year and a half. Over 90% of the homes destroyed. Hundreds of thousands. We still don't know the true figures, but it's certainly over the Lancet estimate at this point of 180,000 Palestinians, and somewhere in between the deficit that Trump blurted out in that press conference, which would have indicated 500,000. It's somewhere around in between those two ranges. Ben Shapiro cheered on that wholesale slaughter, that genocide. And now that basically they've done enough and left the hostages. Didn't Yoav Gallant just admit this? That the Israeli government prolonged the war in Gaza when they could have gotten the hostages back, because basically they wanted to make Gaza, they needed more time to make Gaza uninhabitable so that they could do the ethnic cleansing that Shapiro says is the only solution. You want to add a different word before solution?
Yeah, no, Ben wants to find a solution for Palestinians.
It is clearly, though, if you look at it, they bomb hospitals, they target journalists, they dropped 2,000 bombs that we provided them. They turn the area into rubble, and now they're like, well, the only thing we can do is, we got to go in and get them out of there to clean up this mess, the mess that you deliberately created.
He would happily use, he knows his job when the time comes, whenever Israel starts massacring, is to justify it. And it's interesting to see some of the people in his stable probably pretty cynically, probably with an eye toward contract negotiations, try to bucket, or you have people like Dave Smith that are like purport to be critics of Israel that did the rounds a little bit last year. Everyone folding in, and this is what actually is spoken for by the right wing.
Simply allow the rebuilding of Hamasistan in the Gaza Strip and the suffering of the people who live there for decades on end.
That's also what I
while
want
they
to say.
rebuild.
Sorry. No, we do actually have a solution. Don't pretend that we don't. One democratic state from the river to the sea. The reality that already exists, the 3 million Palestinians that are in the ghetto of the West Bank, that's land is being encroached upon on a daily basis, that is controlled by Israel. You got to make them citizens. You got to make them citizens. And then the now reduced number due to genocide in Gaza, the 1.7 or 1.8 million people that may still be alive, their lives forever just tarnished by the carnage and the trauma of what they've witnessed, they also have to be full citizens too. And damn, your demographic majority may not be that pronounced, but sorry, you got to go by the way of South Africa, and apartheid is wrong. Deal with it. So when you pretend we don't have solutions, we do. You just don't like it. Your solution is the final solution.
And in the meantime, in the time preceding eventual one-state sort of anti-apartheid regime, which we can all dream about, how about who gets to govern the Palestinians is whoever the Palestinians vote for, even if that is Hamas. Aaron Rupar tweeted this out last May. I have no problem saying Palestine. I support a two-state solution. The problem is getting there. Who is going to govern Gaza? Certainly not Hamas. And I also support Israel's right to exist. So that is really more than October 7th. It is, they don't like the groups. And before it was Hamas, it was the PLO. Whoever is organized to oppose Israel's land grabbing and genocide will be justifiably, to all these Zionists, killed, and we'll open up war to get rid of them. It's not politics, because you always hear about this stuff. Elections have consequences. The consequence for the last election that Palestinians held was that Israel said, oh, you can't do it like that. We're going to try to coup you all, and then we're going to occupy you.
Yeah. Rashida Tlaib tweeted this in response to what Trump did. Palestinians aren't going anywhere. The president can only spew this fanatical bullshit because of bipartisan support in Congress for funding genocide and ethnic cleansing. It's time for my two-state solution colleagues to speak up. I was happy to see her say that because Matt and I think have both been kind of pushing this, like, when are there going to be squad members that talk about the reality of what is actually happening? It's not, a two-state solution was always a stalling tactic for Israel to expand its territory. We have to meet this moment with what is true, which is that there already is a one-state reality, and Palestinians live in subjugation under that one-state reality. And so I appreciated, as always, Rashida Tlaib leading the way on this issue. But let's keep going.
The Strip and the suffering of the people who live there for decades on end while they rebuild nothing with no money and no jobs. That is their solution. Trump is proposing an alternative. He is also making clear that contra the sort of idiotic opinion that America is going to send troops to do this. No, we're not, and we shouldn't.
Wait.
Obviously, we shouldn't be taking in refugees from this area, nor should we be sending them.
He did. He suggested it first, but he walked it back.
It came out of nowhere. It wasn't anywhere before one person said that, and it was Donald Trump who said that. And Bibi loved it. So if it's so idiotic, I mean...
Yeah, Trump blurted it out, but he's got a retcon.
We shouldn't. Obviously, we shouldn't be taking in refugees from this area, nor should we be sending American troops to this area. Of course, of course. Caroline Leavitt of the White House, she was asked about this by members of the media. About, are you risking American lives in Gaza? And she's like, what are you even talking about?
What your boss?
I'm 27.
Is it worth risking the life of a single U.S. Marine to turn the Gaza Strip into the Riviera of the Middle East?
Phil, I'm not sure why you're asking me that question, because I've already said the president has not committed to sending Marines or any boots on the ground in Gaza.
Sorry.
Okay, so
He didn't commit to never doing it. which was a follow-up to that question. I don't know why they couldn't find time for it in Ben Shapiro's thing, but she was explicitly asked, like, okay, so is he ruling it out? I don't know. We'll get back on.
I don't know why I have to keep doing this again, responding to the words of the president as the presidential spokesperson. I mean, like, you're so irrational. Stop putting this upon me.
I saw something interesting the other day about cult language and techniques that cult leaders use to manipulate their followers. And this is what it put into frame for me, this kind of, I mean, there's a deeper rabbit hole to go down there, but this tone of like, oh, you people, and why are you always taking the side of the naysayers? And let's all get together and let our great leader, make life easier for us.
Sending Marines or any boots on the ground in Gaza.
Okay, so again, they made that clear. Trump himself made that clear this morning. He put out a statement, quote, "The Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States by Israel at the conclusion of fighting. The Palestinians, people like Chuck Schumer," I don't know what that means, but I'm for it, "would have already been resettled in far safer and more beautiful communities with new and modern homes in the region. They would actually have a chance to be happy, safe, and free. The U.S., working with great development teams from all over the world, would slowly and carefully begin the construction of what would become one of the greatest and most spectacular developments of its kind on Earth. No soldiers by the U.S. would be needed. Stability for the region would reign." Again, President Trump sees this as a real estate project. He's a real estate guy. What he is basically saying is Israel should clear the ground. People who want to leave should be allowed to get out and go live somewhere that is not, in fact, a hellhole run by Hamas. And then the United States will basically take the thing that...
They can't be honest. Yep. The people given opportunity allowed to leave, they want to stay there, you fucking rabid Zionist. They want to stay in the land. You want to expel them out.
And notice how he laughs about the joke, like the forced laughter about the joke about calling Schumer a Palestinian, which Trump has repeatedly done, referring to Palestinian as a slur, because he can't, as a non-Jewish person, call Schumer a bad Jew. But that's why, for mildly criticizing Netanyahu. But Trump feels like he can't say it. But Ben Shapiro thinks it's funny because that's how he feels about anybody who is Jewish who doesn't support Israel and isn't a Zionist.
Any confirmed Zionist is this much of a bigot, and actually even the one that says Israelis like to build, Arabs like to live in sewage.
Right,
that's Zionism.
And apparently, if you are repulsed by that, you're the bigot. In Ben Shapiro's worldview, you're the anti-Semite.
Oh yeah, Uncle Sam is going to protect the little snowflakes that listen to Ben Shapiro across college campuses, make sure they aren't exposed to any kind of counter-messaging about the propaganda that they have been abused with by Zionist education throughout their childhood.
And
you talk about safe spaces. The one place that we cannot have that is people who were abused with, frankly, overly emphasizing trauma and how sick the world is. Look, I understand that the Holocaust takes up a big spot in people's historical memory. Using it to forward a ethno-nationalist fascist colony has been a fucking disaster, and everyone can see it now.
And it's a disgrace to the memory of the Holocaust to commit genocide in the name of the Holocaust. I mean, I don't know how we have to, how clear we have to be.
Yakov Rivkin, Enemies from Within, a book about Jewish resistance to Zionism, is one that I think more and more people should check out.
Peter Beinart has a new book out, and hopefully we have him on soon, where he talks about, the reaction to this genocide as a Jewish person, and he speaks about it. He speaks. I mean, look, you can. There are many Jewish historians and intellectuals who speak out about this, but Ben Shapiro would say that they're bad Jews because they don't support genocide. Yep. And the other. I had another point. Again, my brain's falling apart. Maybe when Trump's Truth Social comes up, it'll remind me. Keep going. Just go back 10 seconds. Yeah.
Project. He's a real estate guy. What he is basically saying is Israel should clear the ground. People who want to leave should be allowed to get out and go live somewhere that is not, in fact, a hellhole run by Hamas. And then the United States will basically take the thing that's good about the area, meaning the beachfront property, and turn it into something nice as a good investment.
Something nice.
He's basically going to syndicate a real estate deal in Gaza, is the thing that Trump is saying. Not that he's going to pour 20,000 American troops, God forbid, into the Gaza Strip in order to clear out Hamas. He's saying that's Israel's job. Let Israel do its job.
Oh, that's
and finish
it.
off Hamas.
That let it do.
and
let
then
them
give
do its
people
job.
who've been living in the worst.
We're good. That was what I wanted to say. Is Shapiro is working overtime to maintain this fiction that Trump is anti-war, because that is like what some of his new fans say they like about him.
Because
so he's
the Democrats abandoned that shit.
right. So he's doing PR for it. How long is that going to last? It's so desperate. And
The guy who said he was going to end the Ukraine-Russia thing by telling Vladimir Putin to knock it off, but instead said, maybe we should do some more conscription and give us some of your minerals.
Right. Right.
If you want these missiles to keep coming.
Could we just really quickly listen to what Trump said again?
yeah.
I would like, just because I want you to just listen to it here to consider how Shapiro is so adamant saying that no personnel from America would possibly be needed in Gaza based off of what Trump and his press secretary said.
Yeah, let's listen to Trump's own words to see if everyone's being hysterical.
And they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful.
Israel will
People of the
kill you.
area.
So to be clear, can the United States remotely remove unexplode bombs and remove demolished buildings? Can the United States rebuild physical structures remotely? Is that possible?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that reporter in the White House press briefing room the dumbest person on the planet for asking how this is going to happen with through a computer screen or a drone, I guess?
They're just lying and trying to do whatever they want. It's the same thing with the Treasury. They're lying about these Doge freaks having access to the Treasury because they don't want to spook the market, and they're just going to be like, screw you. So everyone's got to keep leaking. Keep leaking. And on Shapiro, the dude just defended Elon Musk doing a Nazi salute. Right. You're done with your credibility about anti-Semitism.
I mean, he was a defender of Stephen King. Not the horror director, Steve King, the Iowa white supremacist representative.
Under the Dome is a good book.
Who,
Steve King, I literally said white national. I don't see the problem with the term white nationalism.
who by the way, if that scandal happened today, there's no chance he would have resigned.
Yeah.
He'd still be in Congress.
He'd still be in Congress. He's probably thinking like, oh, I really, really miss my time.
The book I mentioned, anybody who wants to read it, is A Threat from Within, A Century of Jewish Opposition to Zionism by Yaakov Rabkin. People should read that and compare it to... they might understand that Ben Shapiro is basically an overgrown... as Einstein said about the Betar Youth movement, these are basically what the Hitler Youth is for our people.
You know, they've done a good job of making the term fascist seem like some radical go-to knee-jerk response, like, oh, here we go with the fascism again, right? But the reason you use a term is because it describes, right? I mean, that's the word for it. It doesn't mean that Trump is Hitler. It doesn't mean that Netanyahu is Hitler. But the techniques, and it's not exclusive to fascism, but the techniques are a playbook that have been used multiple times throughout history. So this is a version of it. This is our own American version of it. But the dismantling of the checks and balances, it's all there. You know, I mean... Let me know what you think in the comments.